right?
Not too bad, buddy. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
Good, good. So what is going on, everyone? My name is Joseph Reynolds. I'm VMTV, and joining me is pretty much a Swiss Army knife for UK MMA, announcer, promoter, referee before he fights. But this time it's a fight, obviously, UAE Warriors 36, taking on good opponent as well. How are you feeling for that upcoming fight, buddy?
I'm good, mate. I'm excited. It's exciting to fight abroad and fight on a big promotion. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, one of the perks of like being in the gym all the time and keeping the weight in a good place is you're able to take these short notice fights when they get offered.
Yeah, and as well, I'm sure with this fight as well, it's a busy start to the year for you with UKFC as well, coming up in the not too far distant future with Conor Hughes on there and a lot of other fights. But in terms of sort of looking at UKFC at the moment, what's the sort of excitement around that show at the moment?
There's big excitement. I feel like the year is always busy, especially at the start and the end, with everything, fights, matching the fights, guys fighting from the team that you're preparing. So it's always a busy year. But with Conor Hughes obviously headlining the UKFC card before he makes his PFL debut, it's a special occasion. And with that, we've got two more big pro fights on the card in Corey Fry and also Megan Morris taking on Lexi Rook. So it's a good pro card with a lot of eyes that'll be on it, and that's always been the aim. The aim of the show is to build up the guys through the amateur ranks into the pro ranks before they move on to the world stage. And I think it's great to be able to do that. And like I've said before, I've always see like the UKFC roster. I want it to be like my football manager and my team, and not have the best team going into the big shows in the future. So I'm looking forward to March.
100%, and then also sort of looking at the names that UKFC's produced as well, or that's been a part of there. Obviously, you go back, you look at fights like Shauna Bannon versus Dakota Decheva. That was a really big fight, probably one of the biggest women's fights you'll find on the regional scene. And then in recent time, you've had the likes of Callum Connor versus Dennis Frimpong, which was another big fight. In terms of creating those fighters and having that sort of illuminating history behind the promotion, what do you feel as though that does for sort of the UK scene as it continues to grow and develop?
I think it's massive, mate. I think it's like it's the early stages of their career. You mentioned some of those fights we've had there. And now you look at like Shauna Bannon on Invicta and Dakota is on PFL. And two people there who are going to be challenging to be the best in the world in the future. You've also got the likes of Marlon Jones, who fought Curtis Campbell, and where they're going to end up in their career. And I remember at the time, like speaking about that fight, saying that's a future UFC main event, the caliber those guys have. But it's so important that they can have shows like UKFC to push them through those early stages and give them a platform to build on, but also the challenges to build on as well. I think like obviously as the show's got more eyes on it over time as it's grown and stuff. So they're doing interviews like this with you now, like I am, which is also helping them for their career. They're getting like the media. They're having to promote themselves on social media, which is a part of the game now. And more importantly, for me as a matchmaker, I'm giving them the fights that they'll develop and grow and learn from. It's not like they're getting easy fights. I have good relationships with the coaches and some of the best amateur and professional coaches in the UK, and the ones who I always find successful are the ones who are wanting to push their guys and develop them and get those level of fights as an amateur. So it's up to me as a matchmaker to be able to do that, and obviously the gyms and the fighters to have that right mindset to grow and develop.
Yeah, and then sort of taking a look at yourself as well. In terms of the last year that you had, obviously, you've fought some big names, and you've done that for a long time during your pro career, fighting at that highest level. obviously now with this fight coming up as well, it's another big fight. UAE Warriors, another big promotion. In terms of being able to get these opportunities and perform on these opportunities as well and come away with the wins, what's that sort of like as a fighter?
It's massive, you know, like my flyweight resume and the names on it are becoming, you know, like the who's who of the European and now the world stage in MMA. And I think I've always learned from those tough fights. I've always developed from those tough fights and taken on those challenges and on the promotions. That's what excites me. And you know, I'm looking forward to this one just as much as the others because it's another big name. It's a big show. It's a big challenge ahead of me. But that, you know, that's what gets me out of bed. You only have to look at like what's happened on the weekend with Volkanovski stepping up a weight class and challenging himself. And you know, I could have took easier fights that I've been offered, but as I say, you can dare to be great and give those challenges and push yourself and make yourself feel scared about what's ahead of you because you know you're going to be willing to put in that work and challenge yourself and come out the other end.
Yeah, and now sort of taking a look at this fight and then your opponent a little bit, if you have had the chance to watch him, how do you sort of see this fight going and how do you see this fight sort of playing out a little bit?
You know, it's a tough fight for me. He is. I think he's been a black belt for over 5 years, so he's well rounded. He's good on the ground, and there's not really much footage of him in MMA fights on the ground because he likes to strike as well. He's explosive. He's got some big knockouts, which makes him dangerous on the feet. So it's a big challenge. I think my strengths are going to be in the mixed martial arts areas, in those in between parts of all the standard disciplines within the game, and the ability to like push the pace and work the fight IQ in the fight, being in there in the moment, and just being able to be switched on when you go against someone who's a striker who can hit hard. You have to be switched on every second of the fight because you can be outpointing them for 4 minutes 59 of the round, and you just get caught by one shot, which will knock you out. So it's I've got to have the ability to be switched on a night on the feet and on the ground because he's going to be good on the ground. He's won a lot of black competitions at black belt. He's going to be going for leg locks and everything. I've just got to make sure that I'm switched on and pushing the pace and mixing up the disciplines within the fight and bringing it all together and putting it together on the night.
Yeah, and then sort of taking a look at this year as well that you've got coming up with a win here. Obviously, instantly the momentum's back up there, but it always seems like that, especially the UK fans, they want to see you fight, they want to see you in a cage. In terms of looking at this year as a fighter, what are some of the goals and what are you looking to achieve this year?
I think for me, I've always not tried to look past the next fight. I think that's what's always got me in trouble or where I haven't come out my best. Like obviously I went into the Lipoli fight knowing that I'm one fight away from a title fight on Cage Warriors, and then probably come out with one of my worst performances. So it's important that I just take one fight at a time and focus on the next step in front of me at the moment, because I'm getting to that point in my career now where, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years left. That all depends on how well I do. I think at flyweight you can be 2, 3 wins away from something great all the time. So it's important that I don't look too far ahead of me. But you know, I want to be competitive. I want to be active. I want to be in there. I want to be challenging myself. I want to be growing. And that starts on with the first challenge against Victor Nunes on February 25th.
Yeah, and then as well in terms of sort of looking at the UAE Warriors, obviously he's coming from Cage Warriors. Is it now you're still a part of Cage Warriors in terms that you were just able to take this fight because it was short notice, or what was the sort of procedure in terms of getting this fight?
So I had the 5-fight contract with Cage Warriors. So that was up. I was looking for another fight on the promotion, but nothing was finalised at the moment. And then obviously this one come up on late notice, and because I was out of contract, it was something that I was able to experience.
Yeah, and then as well, sort of taking a look at the people that you're training around as well. Obviously, there's Northwest Fight Academy, there's Manchester Top Team, and a lot of the high-level fighters that you'll find in the UK at the moment at these weight classes like 125 and 135. What is it sort of like to train around those sort of people and sort of to get to be a part of their journeys, being a bit further on than some of them, and just sort of seeing the progression of them as the same as yours?
It's massive. Like the people who you spend the most times with has become the average of you. They say the 5 people you spend the most time with, and I think like having the ability to be able to press on with people who are like-minded and they've got that same energy with you is big. And you know, everyone's pushing each other. I'm currently at the moment been staying at Steve Nightingale's house in Preston, so I've been having a few days over here, being able to train and stay at your coach's house is always a benefit, and just be constantly on the ball and everything, and having that team around you, and everyone pushes each other's grown. We were only talking about it in training on Wednesday, how we've all had to develop some of our wall wrestling because we kept getting stuff off, and then they would get onto the attack. So they'd add this defense, and then we'd add on another attack because we couldn't go for that anymore. And that's how you just keep layering up the ability and the skills. And I do see myself as like one of the older guys in the team now. So I have that role and responsibility to push people forward. And obviously I'm a coach myself. And I corner a lot of the guys at the gym and stuff. So it's important that I'm leading by example and giving them the example that they can follow on, and you know, hopefully become better than I was at a certain stage and develop past me, because I've helped them pass on some of the lessons I've learned, and they're able to carry that into their career.
Yeah, and then just a final thing for myself. I'm sure if someone watches UK MMA or just MMA in general, they've heard the name at this point. But if for some chance the people over in the UAE are yet to hear the name Aaron Aby, what is it that they can expect to see from yourself, UAE Warriors, February 25th? I
think, you know, obviously, you know yourself with that smile, you can expect to see someone who always looks to move forward and bring the action. And, you know, I'm going there to work to my strengths and make sure I put on an exciting fight. But this one, I'm going to have to show everything and make sure I'm switched on for every second of that fight and bring the best version of me to come out with the victory. And I'm looking forward to showing it to a new set of eyes and a new set of fans on the night.
Well, there you go. That is everything from myself. Obviously, Aaron Aby, if you don't know him yet on the UAE scene, yeah, I'm sure you're going to know him after the fight 100%. But if you'd like to take a chance, shiny sponsors, and then also UKFC for how people can go about getting there as well, obviously just feel free to go ahead with.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Yeah, I always like to thank my teammates and my coaches and all my sponsors. I couldn't be here without them and the support that everyone gives me. And I'd also, if you're in a UK MMA fan and there's UKFC March the 4th, make sure you get yourselves down and see some of the local and upcoming talent who are going to go on to be great names. Connor Hughes, main event as well, last one before PFL, so that'll be a great night to watch.
100%. Well, I appreciate your time, buddy. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you, mate.
It's a pleasure, buddy. Thank you.